Hey guys, this is going to be my review for The God and the Gumiho. This review will contain spoilers, so if you do not want spoilers, pop back on after you've already read the book. Did I think that I needed a K-drama inspired novel following a trickster god and a nine-tailed fox as they bantered, slowly fell in love, and solved a murder mystery? No. Was I getting it in my fairy loot box? And so I decided that I was going to go ahead and read it. Yes, and I'm so happy I did. I smiled tremendously while reading this book. It's campy and it's quirky and it does things that normally would make me wince and cringe when reading a novel, but because this book didn't take itself seriously, and I kind of hate to say that because, like, obviously there are messages in this book and there are themes and there are morals and different things like that, but it was so fun. And in not trying so hard to just beat you over the head with a big message or big moral or things like that, it truly got away with the quirky, campy stuff. And I laughed. I laughed so much and I smiled so much and I did tear up at the end. We do get two POVs within this book. So we get Kim Honey, or Honey as she is usually referred to, as our FMC. She is our Gumiho, and she is sassy as all get out and like has no regrets, like doesn't care, is very much a bratty FMC, and I was in the mood for that, and I read this and I was like, yeah girl, you don't have to apologize for eating the livers of men, like do it, it's in your nature, go. Now, because she has taken these livers and killed these men, the Scarlet Fox, which is her past persona, is under investigation. And in order to kind of cover her tracks and stay close to what's going on, she becomes the assistant to Seokga. Seokga is our next POV, although we actually get him first within the story. He is the trickster god who is kind of coined the fallen god because he was thrown down by his brother, who is the celestial emperor. And Seokga is like your classic surly, gloomy, undercaffeinated, even though he drinks so much coffee, detective. The two of these characters together and the way that they banter, it's not even like grumpy sunshine. It's more like super underwhelmed by the world and everything that has to do with the world, combined with somebody who always expects to get everything that they want and is more than happy to make the lives of everyone around them absolutely miserable because they don't care. Like, the level of narcissism that these two characters have should make you hate them, but instead it is just a recipe for the best banter that I have ever read, or maybe not ever read, but that I've read in a long time. Now, if you're not familiar with Korean mythology, and I was in that camp, I wasn't very familiar with Korean mythology, this is based upon Korean mythology. The author says in her author note that, she's taken some liberties in order to create her specific story. So if you are familiar, then make sure you go read that so that you don't get upset with the liberties that she's taken. But if you're like me, know that you kind of get thrown into it. And I love that. I thought that was great. I read a lot of high fantasy as well, so moving into worlds that I'm not as familiar with, like I'm used to being like, the author's going to take me where I need to go and I'm going to pick up information as we move along. If you're somebody who's picking this up and you're not a high fantasy reader, then know that you're going to get a lot thrown at you and it's going to be explained, but you might want to take some notes if you're the kind of person who needs to just pause and wait. I did listen to the audiobook, and we have a dual narration on the audiobook, so we have different voice actors for our two different POV characters. I highly recommend, because being able to listen to the language and the pronunciation really helps drop you into this culture and become truly immersed within the story, especially since it's historical. So this is happening in the 1900s at some point. It's been a few days since I've read it, or really a week since I've read it, so I don't remember exactly, but it's not present day, it's 1900s, like 1910s or something. I will say there are some slight inconsistencies with the way each narrator portrayed the other narrator's character, so far as the way that they speak and kind of how their personalities come out in the way that they speak, but that's a very minor criticism, and like I said, getting that pronunciation and getting that immersion into the culture is so worth it in a Korean mythology, especially if you aren't familiar with Korean mythology. I think that the characters really make this. Honey balances that line of being like a mass murderer serial killer with Heart of Gold, who's like kind of had a change in her lifestyle, although it's just because she's really full from, her little killing spree that she went on way back when. But it's just phenomenal the way that she is written. And I get that that kind of sounds absurd, but remember, this is inspired by a K-drama. So the whole novel is really like melodramatic. Honey is a super snarky heroine who cares so deeply for her friends and for her city, but at the same time, she's a Gumiho and she has very selfish qualities and selfish tendencies, and she recognizes this in herself and is like, I'm concerned that I would throw somebody under the bus, therefore I'm just going to try and get ahead of these qualities and these characteristics that I have. Like, the self-awareness that our characters go through is pretty great. And something that I really love about her is that as she's falling into this romance with Seokga, she doesn't get domesticated. I feel like that happens so often, in that this snarky, sassy heroine that we get falls in love with a guy and then starts to like be softer or be more domesticated. Not Honey. No, 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 no. She continues to deceive Seokga to the end. And he's a trickster god. So like, I don't know, it just kind of makes them a perfect pair. And Seokga's character absolutely grabbed my heart as well. I mean, like I said, he plays the surly detective. He is a surly detective, but his character is written in a way where it doesn't come off as cliche. It comes off as fun because he's also a fallen god. Therefore, he's like, I'll kind of pretend to play by your rules, but also if I don't feel like following the law, I'm really not going to, because I kind of get to do whatever I want to, and I hate everyone and everything, and I want to be back up in the celestial realm. I don't want to be down here with all of you people. This is a punishment. So yes, I'm a detective and I'm here to like protect the law, but also I could care less about it. I just want to go home. The only thing that Seokga likes, or really loves, is obsessed with, is coffee. Aside from Honey. But that happens later. From the very beginning, he's obsessed with coffee. Like, the level of obsession that should have you rolling your eyes and being like, okay, this is absolutely just out there. Except, again, this is super campy and super quirky and super melodramatic. And so his obsession with coffee and the fact that Honey absolutely loathes coffee just makes it all the more hilarious. And so we have our two protagonists that fall like just shy of being genuinely evil, who are both extraordinarily narcissistic, and that just made this novel all the more fun. All of that being said, Honey and Seokga do undergo character growth, and they do have really great character journeys within this. Like, they do kind of overcome some of their selfish tendencies and learn to care more deeply about the things around them. Everything about their journeys felt organic. Everything about the romance felt organic. Nothing came off as contrived for the sake of the plot in order to get us from point A to point B. It all flowed really nicely. And though I've talked about the characters a lot, this is a tightly woven plot so far as a murder mystery is concerned. We do have the investigation, we do have the search after, survivors and witnesses. We do have that the mystery ties into the backstory of both of our characters. And all of this came together in a novel that genuinely left me teary-eyed at the end. I do have a critique. I almost always have at least one critique. And a critique that I have, well, let me say this. A critique that I have that was not an issue for me, but that I could see some readers going into this not expecting, is how fast we're thrown into the Korean mythology. And so I thought that was wonderful and absolutely worked here. But it is something to take note of and take heed of before you go in, because the first couple of chapters you're really going to have to pay attention to get to know the fantastical creatures within this realm. My actual critique, my real critique of this book is Seokga's morality. So the whole reason that he is a fallen god in the context of the story, because I don't know the original Korean mythology, is that he gathered all of these creatures and these demons from the realm of darkness, brought them with him in order to have a coup to overthrow his brother, and his brother's punishment was that he basically tossed all of them down into the mortal world. So Seokga has to go hunt down and kill these, what they call, unrulies. Now, Seokga's entire plotline is how he's so angry that he's stuck on the mortal realm. That's why he hates everyone and hates everything except for coffee. And as he's going around killing the unrulies, they keep telling him, we just want to go home. Like, we followed you, you're the reason we're here. We just want to go back to our realm, but they can't, because another part of the punishment from the coup was that that realm of darkness was closed off completely. So none of the enrollees could actually go back to where they belong. Again, all Seokga wants to do is be able to go back home, and he can't do that until he kills 20,000 unrulies. And so I really thought part of his character journey was going to be realizing that what the unrulies that he's hunting want is to go home, which is the exact same thing he wants, and there would be some kind of like empathetic, complete roundness of his character art and his character journey with where we started and why he's doing this and then where we end up at. We don't get that. We end the story with him still being like, the unrulies are the worst thing ever and they're so annoying because they want to go home. So I thought there was a missed opportunity there to kind of have this nice little parallel in his character journey. We didn't get that. And again, I'm not familiar with the original Korean mythology, so I don't know if the original mythology is why we might not have gotten that. Either way, I still love this story. I still thought it was so great. I'm very excited to be getting a special edition of this. This book hit for me. This book left me smiling, and I really needed a book that was going to have me smiling.